The government moves to open up the 3G spectrum. Third quarter economic growth eases. And 348 arrested in global child porn bust. Good evening. The government today announced details of its plan to open up the 3G spectrum. It will take back 1/3 of the spectrum held by current mobile operators to allow for competition, Dianto reports. Telecommunications companies are coming out one by one tonight to shoot down the government's 3G licensing decision. At least Hutchinson, CSL and PCCW have issued press releases expressing disappointment at the government's decision, which they say will hurt the quality of mobile services in Hong Kong. Some of the telecom companies also say the decision goes against the interests of consumers because it will force operators to increase their fees. They say the government completely ignored their views and those of the wider public. The Hong Kong economy posted slower growth in the third quarter. The government says weak global conditions were to blame. The local economy grew by 2.9% in the third quarter year-on-year. That's slightly lower than the 3.2% growth in the previous quarter. Total exports rose by 6.2%, but the government said export performance remained modest after excluding the surge in exports of non-monetary gold. Merchandise exports to advanced economies stayed weak, while that to Asian markets showed mixed results. Exports in services, meanwhile, jumped by 4.9% due to an expansion in inbound tourism and cross-border financial activity. And local consumers remained in good spirits due to favourable job market conditions. Private consumption expenditure rose by 2.8% and overall investment spending increased by 2.2%. And underlying consumer price inflation went up from 3.9% in the second quarter to 4.3% in the third. Wages improved considerably, especially for low-income workers. The government has now forecast a 3% growth for the entire year, the midpoint of its 2.5% to 3.5% range.
We now revise it to 3% because in the external environment, there's still some challenges. The growth pace of the advanced economies remain quite weak. That will continue to put a drag on our export performance.
On the upside, according to Ao, is a resilient mainland market, the expansion in inbound tourism and ongoing infrastructure works, which should continue to provide a boost to the local economy. The exchange fund posted an investment gain of $49 billion in the third quarter. That's in stark contrast to a loss recorded in the second quarter. Alan Buchner has that story. One of the largest global investigations has smashed a child pornography ring. With the help of police in 50 countries, over 300 people were arrested and close to 400 children were rescued. Sonia Artero reports. U.S. Treasury Secretary Jack Lew met President Xi Jinping in Beijing today to discuss market regulations for U.S. businesses. Lew is hoping to convince China to reduce the government's role in influencing the exchange rate for the yuan. Washington insists the mainland currency is substantially undervalued to the detriment of American manufacturers. Lew also met with Vice Premier Wang Yang today. Both officials are co-chairing the U.S.-China Strategic and Economic Dialogue, an annual meeting between the world's two biggest economies. The monumental task of getting relief aid to those hardest hit by Super Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines is proving to be a logistical nightmare. 1 week after the storm hit, and hundreds of thousands of survivors are still without food and water. As Sonia Artero reports, the United Nations has raised the death toll estimate to 4,500. In sports, one of the world's most successful triathletes is in town not to race, but to encourage the community here to give more of its time and money to a good cause. Tony Sabine caught up with Chris Lieto, who explained why winning isn't everything in sport. And good news, tomorrow's weather will bring us fine and cool weather. That's the news. Thanks for watching.